battle is underway this morning over backseat auto safety. New concerns surfaced last month when Nobel Prize winner John Nash and his wife died in a taxi crash on the New Jersey Turnpike. They were both riding in the back seat, and neither one of them was wearing a seatbelt. Now, the latest research suggests that if states have stricter seatbelt laws, the number of deaths could drop by 17%. Kris Van Cleave is in Washington with the latest on that. Kris, good morning.
Good morning. We all know we're supposed to wear our seatbelt regardless of where we sit in a car. We also know that not everybody does. Up front, you have the benefit of an airbag here, and you may have a side curtain airbag. But in the back seat, it's a different story. Particularly in older vehicles, you may not have that side airbag. So the only thing that's keeping you in place is this seatbelt.
Oh my God.
If you needed a reason to fasten that seatbelt when you're in the back seat, here it is. Watch this father and young son, unbuckled, go flying when the cab they're riding in gets hit. It happens more than you might think. Department of Transportation data shows more than 1 in 5 backseat passengers do not buckle up. But in a cab, the numbers are much worse. Last year, the New York City Taxi Commission found only 38% of cab riders wore seatbelts.
I think that's the problem, is that they are for a few minutes and talking sometime and they don't care.
Noor Ahmed's been driving a cab in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. As the sign posted in his cab says, passengers risk a $50 fine for not buckling up. How often do people wear the seatbelt in the back of your cab?
Very rare.
Almost never?
Never.
In this crash test video from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, the unrestrained child-sized test dummy in the back of this van gets launched, striking a passenger up front before slamming head first into the windshield. Here is a real-life example. Watch the unbelted woman on the left fly across the cab, slamming into the window. The other woman was wearing a seatbelt.
People are just as likely to be injured or killed in the back seat if they're not wearing those seatbelts as they are in the front seat.
Deborah Hersman is the former chairman of the NTSB and heads the National Safety Council.
And it's really kind of confounding. It's hard to explain why people would think that a stranger, someone that's unknown to them, is actually a better driver than even they are.
In 2013, more than half, 55% of backseat passengers killed in crashes were not wearing seatbelts. But only 28 states require adults in the back to buckle up. New Hampshire is the only state that does not require all adults in the front of the vehicle to be belted in.
I think part of it is that there is a false sense of security.
New York State Senator Brad Hoylman is pushing legislation that would make it illegal not to wear your seatbelt in the back of a New York City cab. Violators would face a $50 fine.
Seatbelts save lives, seatbelt laws save lives, and when you enforce seatbelt laws, they even save more lives.
A sobering statistic from the Department of Transportation: people who are not wearing their seatbelts are 30 times more likely to be ejected from a vehicle in a crash. And in fatal accidents where people are ejected, that person, 3 out of 4 times, dies. Nora?
Wow, those numbers are, Kris, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Those numbers are so startling, a reminder for everybody to buckle up.
Well, I think a lot of people think you have a false sense of security in the back seat, but
Yes.
now I do. And certainly looking at that, it ought to change your mind.
Right.